Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Yevamot page 8, where we find that the concept of Yibum, which is something which is really a novelty, since the situation, as we've established, is where a person's brother dies and you're allowed to actually marry his wife. It's a mitzvah to marry his wife, assuming that they were childless. Now, in a normal circumstance, this is something in which is a forbidden relationship. However, the Torah is extremely lenient in order to be able to allow for the continuity of your brother's name when it comes to your children together. On this, the Talmud tells us a couple of other interesting concepts. We know that one way of ending this potential relationship is Chalitzah. However, if a person actually performs Yibum, at that point, she is considered to be as your full-fledged wife, which means that at that point, if a person, for whatever reason, would decide to part ways, so the way of doing so is just like in any typical regular marriage, in which the way of separating is through a get or a divorce document. Chalitzah is something which is never done anymore. It's only done in the situation that a person did not want to perform Yibum, that one could instead do Chalitzah and they part or separate from one another. But once they're actually considered as married, at that point, the only way of releasing one another is only with a get. Another interesting concept that we find in the Torah is that if a person gets divorced, we allow that person to get remarried. They do not have to say, well, since we're divorced, we are not allowed to ever get remarried. The one exception to that is in a situation where they decided to marry someone else in between. At that point, they're no longer allowed to get remarried. But if they just got divorced and decided to get remarried, that's perfectly allowed. And one would think that maybe that would not apply here, because, as we said, the whole point of allowing this marriage is only in order to be able to retain this continuity of your brother's name. However, if you would decide for whatever reason to get divorced, maybe we would not allow you to decide to remarry one another, and in this page, we establish that it is allowed.